Hello and welcome back to Uncaring Universe, the Geek Industry Digest, normally co-hosted by myself and Yashoda Sampath, although due to her manic work schedule and crazy glamorous traveling all over the world, she's not been able to make it tonight. So for now, it's hosted by me, Danny Solfield-Wadeson, and we are joined by, I am joined by someone again. I know I feel like I always say this, but who've been trying to get on for ages. I know him personally. I know him professionally, and I'm really delighted to finally have him on to chat all things going on, and that's Cameron Robinson.
Hello, that's a very, very nice introduction. And it's really my fault that you've been trying so hard to get me on, and I've just been like rubbish. It's really all my fault.
Not at all, not at all.
It's a good way to start a podcast with that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the humble, I've been so busy and successful brag.
Well,
but
we'll see.
No, we'll talk about just why you've been so busy. It's all exciting stuff, so
sure,
not to worry. But first, Cam and I were very briefly just chatting about having played the Battlefront beta, which I'm guessing a lot of people have dipped their icy toes into. Cam, what have your impressions been of it so far?
Well, I've played a whole hour, so not a hell of my time. Actually, maybe an hour and a half in the end. But my impressions are quite simple. I enjoyed myself. I think it reminds me of Battlefield, obviously Battlefield, but older school Battlefield. Not the most recent games. It's got that kind of cut down, simplistic feel. I mean, it's hard because it also is just a beta, so it's always going to be cut down, and not all the modes are there, but it feels like there's simplicity there, which does appeal to me. And I had a really great time, and the thing I enjoyed most about it is it really feels genuine Star Wars. The world feels very genuine. I mean, I'm not even a big Star Wars fan. I don't dislike Star Wars. I like it, but I'm not a huge fan. Like when I started at GameSpot about 4 years ago, well, that's what I did before what I do now. But when I started there, after about 3 months, I was chatting with my boss, and with everyone else in the team, and Star Wars came up, and I just slyly, casually said, "Oh yeah, I've never actually watched a Star Wars film all the way through." And my boss turns to me and says, "If you'd said that in your interview, I wouldn't have hired you." So
yeah, that's just some geek credentials you're lacking, man.
I know, but you know what it is? I was actually it's funny because I was thinking about this last weekend when I was back home in Edinburgh chatting to my dad, and we were talking about Star Wars, and he was saying, that's my fault that you hadn't seen it because he never liked it. So it's my dad's fault. I'm blaming my dad.
Of the father.
It is. But sorry, back to the beta. Yeah, it feels genuinely Star Wars. I know what that is now because I have now since then seen all the films, so I'm well clued up. And it feels really good. The sound design's lovely.
Oh, it is.
The blasters feel really blasty, I suppose. Yeah, it's good. What about you, man? Are you on the same page? Or
Definitely, and I totally agree with what you mean about it being stripped down. I love that. I mean, I've always liked Battlefield games, but the first one I played was Battlefield 2. Back when we had a 56k dial-up, so I couldn't even play it online with other people. And thinking back to what it was like then compared to Battlefield Bad Company, or even 3, the most recent one, is just overwhelming HUD. Tooltips and icons and futuristic user interface.
I can't be bothered with that. That stuff just gets in the way.
Yeah, I mean, it has its time and its place, and it sometimes can feel quite cool and futuristic. But
I don't know, I'm a HUD. I'm a real HUD hater. Is that a thing? That's a thing now.
It definitely is,
to the point that in most games, I will turn off as much of the HUD as I possibly can.
Yeah,
I'm a guy who tries to play GTA 5 without the radar on because it spoils the beautiful game.
It makes it so much more immersive. I mean, it
does. I mean, you're lost all the time.
Yeah. Well, they say the best way to know a city is to get lost in it.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, like you say, the overall feel just works. I think they've just nailed the atmosphere. I mean, the one kind of big map they've got, the Walker Assault level, can feel like a little bit like a corridor at times, but I mean, I think that is partly just the nature of that particular scenario. And I think some of the other bigger pitch battles will probably be a bit more, well, hopefully they'll be slightly more broad and kind of multiple routes and stuff. But
yeah, it felt more like, this is going to make it sound really bad, but I actually enjoyed myself a lot, but it felt like organized fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sometimes you need that.
Sometimes you need a bit of organization. Yeah, and usually I don't like organized fun, but I did enjoy that.
It keeps it streamlined. When you can go from within the space of 2 minutes to like piloting an AT-AT to bombing around in a TIE fighter, which is definitely my calling. I found I'm a really good like fighter pilot.
Yeah, nice,
That's
good
my
stuff.
Battlefront calling. To you know, jetpacking around and blasting people in midair. I mean, that's good, condensed, sensible, organized fun, and I approve.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm there with you. I mean, the other thing, I guess that the issues that people, because I've not actually read a lot of the reaction, but I've gathered it's been mixed. I'm really bad at reading other people's opinions about games these days. I like to read the news and understand what's happening. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really bad at keeping up with what everyone's saying. But anyway,
never read the comments.
yeah. Oh no, I always read. That's the thing. I always read comments on anything that I do because that way you get better, and also it's kind of funny. But in terms of what other people, you know, with opinions which I should listen to, probably I haven't really been listening to them. But from what I gather, is that it's been mixed. And I guess maybe that's because, you know, if you're not a big fan of, you know, like kind of stripped down shooters, you're probably not going to have the best time. Maybe. I mean, in a way, it reminded me of some of the reasons I used to like playing shooters in the first place. I like that simplicity. I think maybe that's what without realizing it, that's what's been turning me off some shooters over the last few years, potentially.
What's your kind of archetypal shooter, like the earliest?
Call of Duty. The best ever was Modern Warfare 1. That was just the best. That's the best shooting game ever made, hands down. For me, it was my favorite. The multiplayer was brilliant. The single player, it was a Call of Duty game with a good single player game. I mean, my God,
well,
it was brilliant.
They used to have brilliant single player. And this is what I mean, we're betraying our age now, but like the first couple of Call of Duty games were essentially like narrative-driven single player games.
Yeah, I mean, they still are. It's just that. And the story, I just haven't as enjoyed the stories as much in the last like years as I did with Modern Warfare 1. I really kind of got into it. But yeah, and I'm not saying this reminds me of Modern Warfare 1 because it feels more like it feels Battlefield. You know, there is that very distinct difference. But I'm looking forward to. I mean, the beta's been extended, right? Is it still on?
I think just till tonight
or tomorrow, maybe. Okay.
Yeah,
not long. Have a few more rounds tonight if I can, but I'm looking forward to playing more of it. I'll definitely say that much.
Cool. I'm just hoping actually the one thing that has been missing so far, which I loved doing from Bad Company, was like cooperative vehicles. Because I have this like my kind of shining, gleaming halcyon memory of playing Bad Company was being in like a massive Apache chopper with a few other friends, like working in the game industry, all online at that time. You know, so we all knew what we were doing. Like one person flying around, two people on the guns. One person would like parachute out, capture the checkpoint, like swoop back down, get picked up. It was just like,
that's fun,
amazing. So I hope there's a bit more of that team dynamic and kind of cooperative vehicle stuff in Battlefront.
That's a good point. I mean, those vehicles are fun as well, even with complete randoms, because you're like, you get it, and invariably you get the last seat, which is just a door. And you're like, all right, guys, I trust you not to get me blown up here. And then inevitably, the one who drives has never driven in their life.
Exactly, it goes straight off a ramp.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of enjoy that. I'd be like, oh well, but you still always get in the vehicle because it's a vehicle.
Yeah, you just got to take that risk and see what happens.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, fingers crossed. It's not long to wait now. It's about a month.
Yes.
And then, we can go around blasting some rebel scum.
Good time.
So tell us a little bit about what you have been up to recently, because, well, maybe it's not even you that anymore, but you've had a little bit of a change of scenery, a new venture. So, give us a little bit of a kind of recap of what the past couple of months have had in store for you, what you were doing and what you've transitioned to.
Sure. So I've only, up until recently, I've only ever had one job in the games industry, and that was working at GameSpot. And I worked there for 4 years, pretty much, in the UK office. But it's a fully integrated team with the US and Australia, and I was really privileged. That was a really great place to work, and so I worked there for like 4 years, mainly doing this kind of science of gaming show, which seems ridiculous that I was able to do that. But yeah, so I made like a science show for about 4 years called originally the What If Machine and then Reality Check, and that was really fun. And that is like the stuff that I enjoyed the most there. I got to interview some incredible people about and chat like kind of quite difficult science, but in the construct of video games, and like hundreds of thousands of people would watch it every week. Like it was insane. So that was the real pinnacle. And then also I did a show about modding Skyrim with my very good friend and now business partner Seb Ford, who we did that show with me as well. So that's what I used to do at GameSpot. A combination of science and Skyrim was basically most of what I did. I mean, lots of other bits of video here and there. You know, there was a very small team in the UK, so we did bits of news, and I would film features for people and take part in other stuff. It was very collaborative. So that's why I'm on the show, really, because I used to work at GameSpot, and that's how we met. We met at BAFTA, I remember, in fact, Danny.
That's right. I was just thinking, as you were saying,
it was yesterday.
Where did we? Because I remember meeting up for a drink after that.
Yes.
But I was like, where did we actually meet originally? And you're right.
It was BAFTA. It was BAFTA 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was a good party.
That was a good party, yes. But I digress.
Next to Hideo Kojima for about a minute. I
chatted to Dara O'Brien that night. That was fun. Nice. He's awesome. But yeah, so that's kind of what I used to do. And the thing is, I've never really, neither me nor Seb have ever really been people who kind of care what other people think about our opinions about games. You know, that may seem silly coming on a podcast where we are talking about our opinions about games, but I enjoy talking about them. But I don't really mind if people agree or disagree. It's fine. I've never, you know, a lot of people in the industry, and that's good because we need these people. You know, they really, really care, and it's why they review games. And it's like, I want to help people to feel what I felt when I played this game. And I know a bunch of people who are very, very talented reviewers, and I read their stuff, and I'm like, that's cool. I have no desire to do that. What drives me to make like video and any other content, and whether it's gaming or whatever, is I like to tell a story, and I like to get people excited and interested. So, I mean, that's what Reality Check was all about. There was no opinion in there. It was just like, this game's exciting and interesting because look how it relates to this science thing. So what I do now is me and Seb left GameSpot together about 5 months ago, not quite 6 months, to start our own business, which may seem like an insane decision. And it does kind of feel like that in many ways. And there was never anything wrong at GameSpot. Those guys were fantastic. But it was more that, you know, I guess I do this thing of doing a job for 4 years and then, you know, wanting something new.
Yeah, it's a long time. 4 years is a long time.
It is. And there wasn't really anywhere to grow or to go. There was no real progression just because of the nature of the relatively small team.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to really, and sometimes in your life you're like, oh, this is an opportunity in front of me now to take a risk. Exactly. And to have a stab at something, and it might not work, but if I don't do it now, I will always wonder what would have happened if I had done it. So basically, what do we do? Yeah, exactly. You kind of got to, right? I mean, so what we did is we left and to start our own production company, which are called Double Jump, by the way. So you can check us out at doublejumponline.com if you want. There's not much there currently. It's it's a website. In fact, what is there? I can't remember. It's been a while since I've made the website. As you can tell, it's not been my priority.
Hopefully not just like a 404 page. We should probably check.
No, man. So it's we've got a contact thing, so you can email us, a little about page, and also a list of the clients we'd work with. So if I go to my about page, then I can tell you what we do.
Well, what was because one thing I'm always really interested in when people take that plunge and that risk like you did, you know, you're in a cool job, like a job a lot of people would love to have. But like you say, it gets to that 4 year point and you think, I need to do something new. Like, what is it that motivated you and Seb the most to do this kind of thing? Was it just a change, or was it like having a bit more authorial control? Was it just starting something yourself and being able to work, you know, in a really small team? Like, what was the defining point in that kind of decision to take that plunge?
It was to have something which was ours, and to, as a result of that, get the success if it was successful, but also deal with the failure if it wasn't. You know, to have the stakes, to be accountable.
Yeah.
Because when you work in a big,
invested in it.
Exactly. When you work in a big company, like CBS, because GameSpot's part of CBS, and it was, you know, like, I have to emphasize, working there was a phenomenally positive experience. But when you work in a place like that, you are you are removed from both success and failure to a degree. So if something goes really, really well, it was down to you. You know, you might get a little pat in the back and a little well done, but like that's it. But if you really majorly screw up, then people cover for you, or you know, your boss, it's his job to kind of help you out, and you know, there's cushioning both ways, which is good. It's important. It's a good way to learn. But then, you know, if once you get good at what you do, it can be limiting. And we just wanted to do something that was ours, really. But you know, it's funny you mentioned about, like, you know, what made you leave a job that so many people would want to do, and that was almost the hardest thing, is to give up something that, you know, so many people would just think you are an idiot for giving up. And that's hard, because you start to wonder if maybe you are an idiot. Maybe I am. But you start to really be like, oh, well, if all these people think I am, maybe I am. But then you got to remember that, look, you know, people who've done any job for 4 years would start to think about, you know, trying something new. So that's what it was. So what do we do? Well, I mean, I said we're a creative production company, but what does that mean? Well, we mainly work in the games industry. It's been 6 months, so not even that. So it's hard to say exactly what we do, but what we set up in mind of doing, which we have been doing quite a bit of, is basically creating video content around games for anyone who wants to actually engage with a gaming audience in a way that they want to be engaged with. Because there's a whole load of like marketing video, because video is tricky out there, and there's a whole lot of it that's just crap, and like people don't want to watch, and it's aimed at gamers. And I even hate the word gamers, to be honest, because it's one that's thrown around. But you know what I mean. It's aimed at people who like to play video games, but it doesn't do a good job of actually giving them something that they want to watch.
No, well, the thing is, we're at the stage now. You know, enough people play games, and enough of them at a sophisticated enough level that saying video content for gamers is like saying film for film goers. It's like, you know, it doesn't really do anybody enough justice to say that. And if you try and cater to that broader kind of common denominator, then that is why, as you say, we have so much bland shit, really, that just goes by the wayside. So especially branded stuff when they don't.
Wait, does this mean I can swear in this podcast?
Yeah, go for it, man. Swear bloody murder.
I've been censoring my sweary mouth. Basically, the reason why we set up a company was because, what's always like another reason is when you're a big company like GameSpot, if you have a wild idea, you can often do it. Like, they were really good at giving you these wild ideas, or giving you free reign to do these wild ideas. But then if it went really, really, really well, again, it wasn't, you know, you never owned it. You know, it was always part of the bigger company. And that's obviously just how it works. You know, like, we had the cushioning because if that wild idea had failed, it was like, whatever. Yeah. But it also meant that if it was a success, you never owned it. So what's been amazing about running your own production company is I can go to someone, and if I pitch them a video, and or even a podcast, and they say, yes, I like that idea, here is money to go and make it, that becomes your job.
Yeah. It's such an immediate reaction. It's like a cause and effect and thing at the end of it.
And it's not a job that someone's given to you. It's one that you went out there and said, hey, I want to do this, and probably would have done for free, but you don't say that. You know, but like that's it. You know, so I've pitched a couple of these kind of pie in the sky ideas, which I think would be, you know, so much fun to make and really great video that people really want to watch. And we've had like quite a few of them. People said yes, and like we're either working on them now or they're done, but not out there yet. So
are there any you can talk about? Or is it
I don't even know. Because a lot of our clients are games companies. And we've already worked with a bunch of the big game companies, which has been amazing fun. But because our angle has always been, you know, let's find a new interesting way of looking at video games. That was always what we did at GameSpot. That's what Reality Check was all about. That is what we do now as well. So we say, oh, you know, you've got the game coming out, company X, you're bringing out Y game. I think here's a really interesting angle that your fans would absolutely love to hear about. And we will make this video for you to sit on your channel and help grow your audience. And that's the kind of relationship. And if people want to do it, that's how it happens. So there's been a bit of that. That's the kind of goal of Double Jump, is to do that exclusively. Or at least that's how we were set out. I mean, you never really know, right? You set out with an idea.
Months is such a short time. I mean, you're a startup is officially a startup for 2 years, right? So
I guess it sounds like you know more about it than I do.
Well, I think that's I mean, yeah, there's no science to it, but that's kind of generally the period of time which you're like considered a startup. So if you think about it, you still got another like 3 times again how long you've already been going before you really even have to say that you're like a kind of, here's the company, here's exactly what we do. You've got another 1.5 years to grow and discover. So
and who knows, maybe we'll find out that we wind up doing a whole like other stuff. And in fact, one of the things that we have been commissioned for, right? I mean, I can't really speak about it, but it is a podcast.
Cool.
I can't believe that. So it's not even a video, it's an audio thing, which is like, what? I mean,
totally backwards. I don't know what they're thinking.
Who would do that, right? So so it's all very exciting. So I mean, that's what, if anyone out there who's listening to this is like wondering about, they have an idea and they know it's this kind of cheesy thing that everyone says who's done it, or like, who's like at least tried to. It's worth, go out there. What we did is we talked to a lot of people before we left GameSpot, people who would become our clients, and basically said, look, if we did this, is this something that you guys would even be interested in? Yeah. And we spoke to loads of people. We bought people a lot of drinks for their time, a lot of conversations. And, almost everyone, in fact, I think everyone said, yeah, that's a good idea. So I would say if you've got an idea, like, do a little test, test the water, talk to a lot of people. But another thing that was, you said, like, what gave you the nudge? Another thing is that lots of other people are doing this. Like, not the same as us, but are leaving companies to start their own in the games industry, because it is such a growing industry, especially in the esports, and I've got quite a few friends who have started before we did, and it was kind of inspired by them, people starting PR companies, other people like other guys who've started video stuff as well. It was all, you see what they're doing and do, or even if you don't know what exactly they're doing, but you see that they're doing something. Well, that's cool. So that was another big inspiration, was like friends.
I think you hit upon something just now when you said talk to a lot of people. That sounds so commonsensical, but that so many people forget. When they're making a game or whatever they're doing, starting a company, so many people forget to actually go out there and spend 6 months to a year finding out whether people would be interested in that. It's like so many people, and we've seen a lot of reports recently of like indie game makers making a game and then complaining that it doesn't sell, saying like, oh, even with a good game, it's impossible to make a living, and citing the kind of indie apocalypse and whatever. But it's like, well, if you make something in isolation in a vacuum, you can't just expect people to like want to go out and buy it. Yeah.
It's tricky though. I mean, because it's tricky because sometimes people don't know what people don't know what they want.
No, well, that's very true.
It's a tricky one, but I think with and I don't know, I'm 5 months into a business and I'm still alive. That's my level of credentials. That's it. But I mean, I feel that with a kind of business, you have to, if you're expecting people to pay you money for a thing, you should go out and check that that's a thing they might want. Yeah. But with games, it's difficult because like if someone had said to me, "Hey Cam, I'm gonna make a game. It's basically a card game, and it's kind of based in the Warcraft universe." You don't play World of Warcraft? Okay, never mind then. But it's based in that universe, and basically you'll pay money for what amounts to animated GIFs, and you will spend hundreds of hours playing this game. I would have told you to fuck right off. But I love Hearthstone, right? Hearthstone's incredible.
Oh, Hearthstone.
So there you go. Case in point. You don't always know, but it's just difficult. Like it's true. Like making I don't know the first thing about making a game. This is something that you know more about, but I mean, I think it seems like such a difficult thing. I mean, you can have the best idea in the world, you can have a great team, but if I feel like you need to have all the different boxes ticked and also the luck box ticked. I feel like it's getting lucky. A lot of it is more like the music industry. Where or how the music industry used to be when there was this like huge amount of talent, but getting seen, it's like getting seen, exposure is so difficult. It's just so difficult. So I don't know, and it's a bit of a wild west, like now if you get, obviously if PewDiePie plays your game, it's not instant success, but a few things like that, and
it's a big help.
So it's this really weird, it's this really difficult world. But I feel for people who who spend a lot of time making a game and it's a good game, and people say, hey, your game's really good, and then it just doesn't sell enough. Like I think that must be real hard.
Yeah, I mean, it must be heartbreaking. And I was never kind of overtly, like, vocally critical of people's games and stuff before I got involved in making one, because, you know, you don't have anything to nice, right? Anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, I mean. But yeah, since being a bit more involved and just like becoming more understanding of the sheer amount of time and effort and sweat and tears that goes into it, when you hear news now of like somebody's game tanking and stuff, man, it's like my heart goes out to them. And I did an interview recently. Did you hear of that game Wonder?
No, I didn't.
No, sadly, I don't think a lot of people did. Basically,
Oh, no.
It came out to...
It's my fault, isn't it? You're saying this is my fault.
I'm saying it's all your fault, man.
Oh, no.
If you had done a Science of Wonder, you could have saved those people's game. No, well, it was an MMO, basically, like a non-combat exploratory MMO on the PS4 that came out about 3 or 4 months ago. I
didn't hear about this. That sounds interesting.
Well, it does sound interesting, and it looks good. But when it came out, basically everybody was just calling it like the worst game this generation, like a kind of boring, broken mess.
No.
I know, and it was terrible. And so I thought, you know, we've got to hear like the other side to this. So I actually did an interview with the people that made that game. And the main guy behind it's a guy called Loki Davison, who gave a really great interview just talking about his hopes and his dreams for it. How it was inspired by him, like backpacking around the world and like meeting people in these crazy, beautiful locations, like under a waterfall or in this deep forest, and like swapping stories and showing people around where to find the kind of hidden gems of a place. And I just thought, wow, that is like a beautiful inspiration for a game. But the sad reality, despite managing to get it made and out on the PS4, is it probably tanked. I mean, he's never said anything about the financials, but if you do a quick Google, like, yeah, public opinion was not kind. But still, I wanted to do that interview, you know, to give him the voice to just like express some of those feelings and like what the reality is like when people start hating on you like that.
That must be awful. That must be the worst thing.
Yeah.
When you worked so hard on a thing, and especially when you think, and you put it on the bloody PlayStation Store. That is no, excuse me. Oh man, I need to cough. That is no mean feat.
I know, it's impressive, right?
Very impressive. And then to have that's proper dream killing stuff. I really feel for the guy.
He was very stoical. I really applauded his attitude in the interview. He was saying, you know, yeah, we know it's buggy right now, and that, like, one of the things he said I loved the most was basically like the fact that people are so upset suggests to me that like their expectations were really high, and like that meant a lot to him. He was like, I'll take that people were expecting so much that they actually care that it's bad. So I really hope that they bounce back.
I don't quite. Yeah. Okay.
It's an impressively like positive spin on things.
Much respect for that.
Put it this way, I couldn't make it past the tutorial. You play as like this walking sentient tree, and I couldn't make it past 5 minutes. But I hope
Okay, but how did that happen then? Like, how did they get to that stage? Like, surely there was QA, and you know.
I don't think there was, and I think they were. None of them came. I think they came kind of from an outside way into games, so that's why it's such an interesting concept that didn't really translate. But I hope their next game is amazing, because I'd love for them to bounce back. So we'll see.
Interesting, very interesting.
But that reminds me, actually, another thing I was going to ask. I don't want to pry too much into the secret projects that hopefully we'll all get to see soon. No. Well, I'm not gonna. But you'll have to you have to make sure you announce them all properly over Twitter and stuff so we can watch them soon. But I was going to say instead, like, what's your take at the moment on the current state of video gaming content? And I don't just mean best YouTubers, but you know, show-based stuff. So, because what do we have really?
So, what do you think? What do I think about it?
Yeah, and first of all, what's the current state of it? Like sophisticated gaming-focused video content.
Yeah.
If we don't have enough, why not? And basically, like, I can't really think of much off the top of my head, apart from obviously Video Game Nation and Jinx TV.
Yeah.
Which, for an industry this huge, like, seems like a surprisingly small amount of stuff.
So here's my thoughts on. Okay, it's a big question, Dan. But okay, so here we go.
I asked a big question.
I think overall, we're in a wonderful situation because there is so much video. You know, so much video out there on YouTube. We'll come back to TV in a minute, but there is so much. If you love a game, I don't care what game that is. There's a video there on YouTube for you to watch of someone else saying how much they love that game or hate that game. I mean, that is there.
Yeah.
As someone,
probably,
yeah, it's already been done. Like, and if it's not been done, you know what? You're probably going to go ahead and do it. So it will be done. That's the rules of the internet, right? So, for example, and not to harp on about Hearthstone, but it's one of the only games I've really properly played in the last like few months. But like Trump is he's a streamer. If you don't know him, if you're not into Hearthstone, he's this guy who streams Hearthstone on Twitch and on YouTube, and I like him because he's not like a lot of YouTubers in the fact that he's not all shouty loud. Oh my God, this is amazing. He's like really, and that's probably because of my age, but he's like really relaxed and
chill, bro.
Analytical. He's chill, and he's a bit of a geek, and I love him, and I'd want him to be my friend. You know, he's cool. He's cool in that kind of like he really knows a lot about that game, and he's very good at it. Yeah. But he's pleasant. You know, and I love that exists. And you know, on lunchtimes, me and Seb frequently will sit down for half an hour. We'll watch Trump. We'll eat food, and then we'll get back to work. And that is really nice downtime. So that's just one example. But that, like, if you're into Battlefront right now, there's loads of content on there about the beta, people, their impressions, things they found. It's great. We are so spoiled. Yeah. However, my issue with like video content or in games is that I just feel there's a lot of redundancy. I feel there's a lot of people trying to do the same stuff, and that's a shame because I understand why. Because if you are doing, say, a reviews may be a bad example because you want lots of reviews because there's lots of different opinions. But say something which is not so opinion based, maybe just like a preview, or it's difficult because obviously you all want to talk about the new Battlefront beta, right? But it's hard often for people to have lots of different things to say, and I feel like there is a lot of excuse me, a lot of redundancy. Definitely. Which is a bit frustrating. And I like it when I see people do lots of new things and looking at games in new ways and finding new ways to you know, make points about video games. But they see, like, at the same time, I'm not a big fan of like, let's get serious about games. I'm always very much of the camp of guys. It's just video games, and I mean that in the most respectful way possible because it's also been my career as well. So I'm not belittling it, but it's a topic.
Well, just coming from a guy who did the science of video games, although I guess you can still do that lightheartedly.
Of course. But. Well, I mean, it's like it's the science of video games was using using games as a vehicle to teach people about science. You know, and that's fine and that's good. And no, don't get me wrong, games are brilliant, and I love the industry, and I find esports incredibly fascinating and all that stuff. It's great. It's really, really great. But it's entertainment, and it's important to remember that. And that's not belittling it. That is just remembering what it is. Yeah. But you mentioned TV, and I think it's interesting because I used to be really frustrated by the lack of good games content on TV, and then we've had like what you could see as being like small wins over the past few years with like some mainstream coverage, and then as you say, we have like dedicated channels like Jinx TV and shows like Video Game Nation, and that's all good. That's all good, but I kind of don't really care about whether games content is on TV anymore. I honestly don't really care. I like if it is, but I don't care if it's not because it's I like that's not where the audience needs to be. It's just not needed. I mean, people say, oh, it'll give games more credible. Games are credible enough. Games are fine. Games are credible. Like they're credible to the people who love them, and that is only going to grow. That audience is huge. It's also, I think, it's a generational thing. I really think a lot of this is just down to age, especially with esports. You look at esports, and you've got this world, this bubble, which is absolutely massive. I mean, the World Championships of League of Legends are in Europe right now. I don't know if you know this, but the quarterfinals, no, the first round is just wrapped up.
Yeah, America got knocked out, didn't they?
All the American teams are out. I think there's one European team. Is there one European or two? Fnatic are still in. They're a European team. Anyway, so they're coming to London like this week. We start on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, I do remember seeing Julia Hardy's covering it for BBC Three.
Yes, exactly, and that's cool. Like, again, that is cool. But that is cool. Yeah, I think that's good because it gives people the opportunity. And I think the way I look at like what you would might call mainstream coverage of esports is or of video games in general is that it's a good thing, but it's good if it brings people into the fold. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be like this is where this needs to live.
No,
I think it
exactly.
has a home. It has a home, and it's the internet, and it works really well. I guess that's how I feel about it.
I do totally agree. And I mean, for me, when I say TV, I do partly mean literally like on the television, but also like that kind of TV style format. Because whilst, I mean, again, as you know, like I used to work at Maker, which is just 100% about gaming content on YouTube, and I completely believe in it. But sometimes even I get like intimidated, you know, by the sheer amount of it. And sometimes, again, we are a bit older. I'm quite into the idea of that, a bit more of a curated thing, something that's maybe, yeah, a little bit more like down tempo and in a different format. Because I do love, you know, like for example, Hey Ash, What You Playing is hilarious, and other stuff like the Miller Report. But sometimes I'm like, I'd love to be able to sit down and watch a half-hour like chat show or quiz show, or I don't know, like Horizon style thing. And again, there are films, like documentary films made about gaming all the time.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know where I stand. I just think it still feels to me like there is, like you say, a lot of redundancy and a lot of room left for people to grow into.
But here's the beauty of the internet. If you make something that people want to watch, people will watch it, you know, like, or if there's enough of the same thing. So, you know, if there's a demand for long form documentary style content on the internet, then about gaming, then we'll know because people will make it and people will watch it. And maybe not the first person to make it or the second person, but at some point, you know, people will realize it's there. It's difficult though because I mean, obviously, YouTube has become more synonymous with, you know, let's play style content, which is great in its own right, and it's for maybe a different audience from us most of the time. I would say potentially it depends on the game, but you know, a younger audience, and that's good. I mean, I like that kids have YouTube, and as you know, they don't just have TV; they have a wide variety of places to choose. People to choose as their heroes, people to choose as their role models, and that's good because variety is good. And a lot of these people who are doing this stuff are, you know, very normal because the internet allows you to have fame at a very low level. It's very strange.
No, I know what you mean. It's totally true. And something that I saw, and you probably saw at GameSpot, but I saw at Maker a lot, was ignore the kind of, you know, the toxic comments beneath all these videos, but actually there is usually like a real, often very healthy, positive community around these YouTubers. Like the hardcore fans, the people that do take them as their role models, they are sometimes meeting up in real life. They're getting together at the conventions, and it's like it can be a really positive environment. And for that, I'm super grateful for these kind of Let's Players.
I agree. And
it'll be really interesting to see in a couple of years, like what that kind of legacy is. You know, when those kids grow up, like what their take on the gaming industry will be when they're 20, 30, like getting into careers, and they've grown up with Let's Plays and stuff in a way that we never have. It'll be so interesting to see what they do with it.
So to give you an example, right, of when you were talking about what you feel is a demand, or you would like to see more long form documentary stuff. I mean, I would absolutely as well, and that's the type of stuff that I would also love to make. But if you look at there is stuff like that is popular on YouTube. For example, there's the Vice News. Sorry, not Vice News, just Vice did a documentary about esports. Personally, I didn't think it was very good, but that's just my personal opinion. But it was filmed very nicely. But the point is that it's incredibly popular and lots of people watched it. So I don't think we need TV. I don't think we need. I mean, it's nice to have things, to have bits that pop up in these what you might call mainstream places to bring people into the fold. I don't think we should worry too much if that's not where stuff lives. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that does make sense. Well. Yeah, we wait with bated breath to see how you're going to revolutionize.
I didn't say do that. I didn't say do that.
No, I know. I love just putting a little bit of hyperbole into.
No, it's good though. I mean, and like what I think is interesting is the industry is in a difficult position in some other ways. Like I think the games industry is in a great position, and I think there's lots of content. I think there is definitely challenges, and I'm sure people are listening to this who are better at understanding this stuff than me, and who will probably shouting like, yeah, but there's real issues because it's less and less people are watching or reading maybe more thought out content. Maybe with what YouTube encourages is for the most part, obviously not everybody, but for the most part, more throwaway, quick stuff, and as a result, we're getting less and less journalism. And that is a shame. And I know I know a lot of people who work as journalists, and I see journalists as like, I really mean it, because a lot of people who call themselves journalists in the games industry who aren't, and I don't think I was ever really a journalist, but there are some people out there who are, and I think they would probably feel that it is a tricky time in many ways, because we've seen lots of places close, lots of websites shut down, because it's a difficult business model to sustain unless you have mega traffic. And then it's frustrating when you see like one guy, not even the biggest guy, or one girl, or just one person on YouTube bringing in a day more traffic than you do in a month. Yeah. And it's just them, and what they're doing, they're filming on the phone and they're just shouting and screaming. Like, yeah, that's got to be frustrating.
Yeah, I can sympathize.
Yeah, so I definitely sympathize. It's not as simple as I made it out. Like, it's like, yeah, if you make something good, people will watch it. Like, I know it's not that simple, but I think as an overarching rule, it's there. So you just have to find a way. And I'm sure, like, all you need is the right mixture of, someone to make like a really cool documentary. I mean, I feel like Netflix is a great place for these type of things to exist. I mean, Indie Game, the movie, was a huge success, and that's on Netflix. And I feel like maybe that's a good place for these places to go, rather than necessarily television.
True. I would be very happy for Netflix to be like the future of basically off YouTube, like gaming video content. I mean, it's already what's it called? The League? Is it called The League?
Is that League of Legends?
No, I'm getting confused. Video game. I might be thinking of Video Game High School, but there's that. There's yeah, like you say, there are some of the documentaries. And is there anything else gaming related? I feel like I've got one or two things on my list, but basically it could be the perfect place in your game and a movie, like you said, which is amazing. And yeah, if they started to commission some stuff, I mean, Netflix, I'm surprised they're not more over it already.
I wouldn't be surprised if they're developing something right now. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, they always have so many shows on development. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I would like to see some stuff on demand platforms like that. I think that's maybe a good place for it.
Yeah.
But YouTube. I mean, if you type in, there's a bunch of documentaries about any big video game has a quote unquote documentary about it on YouTube with hundreds of thousands of views. So it's not, there is stuff out there.
Yeah. I probably just need to do my research better.
Well, no, it's I mean, the bar for quality is variable, but there is stuff out there.
If you could make a documentary about anything, doesn't even have to be within the games industry, just one of your personal passions, but you've got infinite budget, infinite access, infinite booms and equipment and sliders and everything.
Infinite booms. I love that's where you go first. Booms. You can have as many mics on a boom as you
Hey, booms come at a premium, man. You know this.
Boom poles are, those telescopic ones are not cheap. That's a really difficult question. I think the area that I find most fascinating at the moment is esports, because it exists in this bubble, like I said, but it's a huge bubble. It's a massive bubble. It's a bubble
pretty bloody big.
With like 150 million people who watch it. I think that's roughly the figures, 150, 155, whatever. Yeah. This insane number of people who watch other people play video games. And if you tell most people on the street, by the way, like if you walk around London tomorrow and you were to tell random people on the street, did you know that this week in London there is a video games event taking place in Wembley? And
didn't it sell out in
it's going to sell out,
time, like an hour or
people
something.
Would look at you like you're mental. And that is so interesting that we have something that is that huge.
Yeah. So relatively underground.
Well, it's not underground. It's just a lot of people don't know about it. And I think it's a generational thing again, isn't it? Like most people under 20 who you asked would know.
Yeah.
Most people over 30 would not. I'm making up those numbers, but I'm guessing it's about there. So I think that's something that I'm I find very interesting. But other things, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff. It's funny. I don't want to give away ideas because I might make them one day.
Well,
no, I think there's so many great stories in. I just love anything that's a good story, and I think there's some great stories in, in people who have made games and how that's come about. I mean, I think there already is a Notch documentary. If there's not, there should be. Like, that type of thing would be super interesting. I find him incredibly interesting, and I feel really. And I know it's not popular to feel sorry for people who have loads of money and wealth and success, but I kind of feel sorry for him. He's really struggling, or at least he has been.
I sympathize with you. I think if anything, he is just one more good example of how money doesn't buy you happiness. I mean, he had that like Twitter meltdown the other day, didn't he?
He did. And so many people were like, "Oh, you don't get to be sad because you're rich," and that is bullshit.
It's not true.
Like, I mean, that man was not well. He was having a really hard time. He needed help.
Money and happiness are I mean, I guess they're kind of the same coin, excuse the analogy, but there are two very different faces to it. You know, it's like you can have money yet be unhappy. Of course, the two definitely aren't correlated. And I mean, if he was bitching about not being able to do what he wanted, yeah, ridiculous. If he was like being hypocritical about, I don't know, charity or something, yeah, like stick it to him. But if you've got a lot of money but you're sad, I mean, he was working on Minecraft, like, not single-handedly, but it was his baby for what, 5-6 years? Basically, like, without a single break. And then boom, you sell, you cut off. That's like severe postnatal depression. Like, that's gotta be tough. Like, where do you go from that? What's your project after Minecraft? I mean,
and also the interesting psychology thing is that, you know, it's been proven that we enjoy the process of trying to gain success more than we do the actual success. Like, the buzz you get from a moment of success is intense, but it's incredibly short-lived.
Yeah.
And we actually enjoy pursuing goals more than actually achieving them. When you remember that, I think that's a really, really important thing to remember, because then you can plan. And that's why some of these little gamification apps are brilliant, which allow you to like set little goals for the day. I don't do that. Sometimes I wish I did, because literally ticking off a box can give you like a hit of happiness, you know, because the road to achieving big goals is overall much more satisfying than the actual thing. So I mean, he must have absolutely loved Minecraft getting successful. He must have had a wonderful time, and, you know, loved his life, and as it was growing and everyone was talking about it. But yeah, once he sold, you think that is a very difficult thing to deal with.
Yeah.
But you know, there's, you know, hopefully people will help him out. But yeah, I just don't like when people are like, "Oh, you're rich, therefore you don't get to be sad." Yeah, because that's ridiculous.
I agree. Yeah, and I mean, I do wish him all the best. And I think he'll be an incredible case study. I think whatever happens,
a documentary about him would be really, really, really good. Like, not now, too soon, but like when he has like like an objective viewpoint, more distance from everything.
Yeah.
That would be a really, really, really interesting story.
I would love to kind of see him look back, you know, in 10 years' time and be like, yeah, I was like a fairly like overweight video game nerd, and I sold out and outbid Kanye West for like the biggest condo in LA. Like,
how does that?
What the fuck was I thinking? Like, what was I doing?
How does that happen? That's brilliant. Exactly. I want to see him talking about this stuff when it's not so soon that he has cognitive dissonance, and he can actually be like, you know what? Yeah, I was an idiot. Like, I want to see, like, that would be brilliant. And I think he's I really like him. Like, I don't know him personally. I've interviewed him a couple of times, but he wouldn't know who the hell I was. But I think he's good. I think he's a good guy. He's a good role model in a way for what, as you say, that money can't buy happiness, and that success is make you weird, make you do weird things.
Absolutely. Yeah. Here's to never being that successful and staying normal.
Well, steady on. I know about that.
Cool.
Of course, it wouldn't affect me. You know, money would buy me happiness, of course. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. And is there a Patreon page for that? No, I'm kidding. We are coming up to the end of the episode. Mm-hmm. So one final thing. Normally we do like a pay it forward question, but it's been such a big gap since the last one that I'm not going to put you on the spot. Also, because I can't remember what it was. So we're going to start afresh.
Right, okay.
So you've got to think of a question. Again, it doesn't have to be related to games whatsoever. It can be anything, be it geek culture or just whatever.
Okay.
Whatever you like. Yeah, for the next guest to answer when they come on.
Do we know who the next guest is?
No, I've got a few in the pipeline.
Can you tell me?
I'm not going to tell you who.
Oh, okay.
No, I genuinely don't know who it will be next.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So any question?
Yeah. As an example, in the past we've had like, Desert Island book, or we've had what would be the one thing you would, go back and tell your like 17-year-old self, that kind of stuff. So. Oh
God, I always hear that one.
Yeah.
Stop being an idiot. Maybe. This is tough. Okay. Let me think. I'm looking around my room for inspiration. Okay. Yeah. Okay. What's the? Not again to go back to Hearthstone. It's the most unexpected game I ever thought. Like it's the most game I thought I would hate, yet I've loved. What is the one game that you never thought you'd like, and then you tried it, and then you got addicted? Like I want to know who else has had that experience. Maybe it doesn't have to be a game. Maybe it's a film or a book. Like just something really unexpected.
Yeah.
That you thought you'd hate, and then you love, because that's always quite interesting.
So the thing that you kind of hate to love.
Not even that you hate to love, because I don't hate that I love Hearthstone. It's more that it's you never saw it coming. You never hey, why you? It's just that you never. I mean, I hate myself a little, but also that you never thought it would. You never saw it coming.
Okay.
You're like, huh? I didn't think that would happen, but it did.
Cool. Okay, that's a good one. I like it. Yeah, I'll be thinking about that too. Cool, man. Okay, well. Give us just a quick reminder of your Twitter handle,
sure,
website URL, and
stuff, yeah.
maybe where people can go back to watch old episodes of the Skyrim show and stuff.
Yeah, totally. Give GameSpot all those views. So you can follow me on Twitter if you like. I'm at CamFrazRob. That's CamFrazRob. The reason being is because my middle name is Fraser, so there you go. But yes, we have a YouTube chat. So basically, we have obviously our production company I mentioned. We also have our YouTube channel, which has got nothing really to do with our production company, where we just cater for the audience that we had at GameSpot, which was mainly the Skyrim guys. So we have a channel called Cam and Seb, where we do kind of let's plays. We're going big on Fallout 4. We're going to mod the hell out of that game. It's going to be great. So you can go to Cam and Seb, youtube.com/Cam and Seb for that. If you think our business sounds interesting, then you can check out doublejumponline.com. Doublejump.com was taken. I asked the guy, hey, are you using that? And he was like, no, you can have it for $10,000. So I was like,
oh, good old URL.
I was like, you're good, mate. So we took online. And Seb, who is my business partner in crime, all-round cool dude. You can find him at ReadySebYoGo on Twitter. And yeah, again, Cam and Seb YouTube channel. I think that's everything, right? Yeah, and we will be doing some cool stuff. So yeah, follow us on Twitter. And if you like the sound of this stuff that we may do. Cool.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much again for taking the time. Absolute pleasure.
No worries. That was a lot of fun.
Good. Fun. Glad to hear it. So thank you, everybody else, for listening. As you know, you've either subscribed on iTunes or you're listening on SoundCloud. So do the other one so you get both. And holler on Twitter, and we'll see you very soon for another episode. Cool. Cheers. Bye.